First one is looking back at a different time. Now, Peter, Edmund, Susan and Lucy are going back into Narnia, and and spoiler alert, don't watch this video if you haven't read the books. They're seeing this. They're seeing something like that. I'll read a little bit. "By Jove, it's a wall," said Peter, "an old stone wall." Idea of time being different in different areas of the universe is quite a interesting idea. Whether Narnia is supposed to be set in a different part of the universe or not, these are one of the, or some of the ideas that I think are fascinating that are brought out in the Chronicles of Narnia. And the wood between the worlds is another concept of parallel, multiple universes, places that exist. And for a person who is not particularly looking at this from a religious point of view, you will probably scoff and find, by Jove, that guy is a little bit crazy, you might say, if you're back in that time. Because I want to talk about my conversion into Christianity. I'm using the term conversion possibly because that was what Lewis maybe would have used, the word conversion. I would also like to add that that word probably implies you're moving, you're being convinced, you've been moving from something to another form of thinking. And I've actually enjoyed dialoguing with some people recently online about just that, how some people can absolutely despise these books and others can really enjoy them and like them. And my conclusion of the mystery and the wonder that I find in these books is that it gives me a bit of a pre-Bible understanding. This is a book that I read, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, at a very young age, and I remember even a magical experience when I pulled it out of the library in Lillipilly, the area I grew up in Australia. What a wonderful memory. I hope that many people would find wonder in the world. And this person here, Aslan, and that person there are not equal opposites. One is often, I think, a lot through, I think, the modern myth. I think it is a myth that somehow evil is equally opposite to good. Aslan's representing a Jesus figure that drew me to who he is. You know, I was probably 13, 14 when I had that first experience of, I'm a believer in Jesus, I'm a Christian. Yes, you can use that term, but I don't want to limit that because I think, there's a lot of discussion that happen in many of these books about people from other different faiths or backgrounds stepping into following Jesus. If that's confusing for you as a Christian, I'll let that be confusing. I think there's a happy mystery that happens in following Jesus. There's a happy confusion of, I don't fully understand who God is, yet I see him perfectly displayed in who Jesus is. And I'll place a whole bunch of Bible verses there below, not to throw at you, but if you want to read them, you can. Talking about Jesus being the one that created the world, the one that is very much in love with you and I, that will be scoffed at by Christians and by non-believers alike. Yes, some people have a hardline view that somehow God is angry. And Lewis, I think, spent most of his life as a believer trying to dispel some of that myth about the nature of God. He famously summarized it as Aslan, in his discussion, describes Aslan not as a tame lion. He's wild and he's good. There's something about the wildness of God that we won't fully understand, and the goodness of God is an aspect that is brought out in The Great Divorce, another fantastic book by Lewis. The goodness is maybe something that we didn't expect to be so good, and it is something that creates awe and wonder. That's the first book, first little video about the first few books of the Chronicles of Narnia. Very superficial introduction to that. Will I make a whole bunch of other videos about this, going into depth about characters, people, experiences of faith, and my own, personal conversion, stepping into following Jesus. I hope so, and I hope this video is interesting at the very least to you. See you. Bye for now.